What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Al, and thanks for joining us this evening for the news. A thick column of black smoke rose into the sky from a fire at a plastic factory in western Taiwan. 2 tons of soybean oil were consumed by the blaze, but other toxic chemicals were untouched. Everyone inside was safely evacuated, with 1 employee sent to the hospital with minor injuries. Investigators are looking into what started the fire. People nearby were concerned by the fallout from the blaze.
塑胶微粒还是碳的。对啊，你看这都黑点。
那你在你身上会有什么感觉？
就是沾到皮肤上会很痒。
Local environmental officials say the fire did not significantly impact local air quality. A Spanish fugitive has been deported from Taiwan after hiding here for 5 years. The man is wanted by Interpol for allegedly running an international car rental scam that netted him over $32 million. Immigration officials ordered him to leave the country over concerns that he could threaten Taiwan's public security and social order. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has called an attack launched at his home a grave mistake. Iranian state media say the drone was launched by Hezbollah, a Lebanese militant group that Iran helps fund. Hezbollah itself has not claimed responsibility. Netanyahu was not near his home at the time, and no casualties were reported. In a statement on social media, Netanyahu called the attack an assassination attempt, and he warned Iran and any proxies that anyone who tries to harm Israel's citizens will pay a heavy price. In Japan, the largest nuclear power plant in the world has been offline for over a decade. But after adding safety measures like tsunami walls, it could soon reopen. Cadence Quaranta reports.
This is the largest nuclear power plant in the world. It was able to power over 13 million households. But for over a decade, this Japanese plant has been offline. Japan closed all of its nuclear plants after a tsunami in 2011 caused reactors at its Fukushima facility to melt down, releasing radioactive materials into the air in the worst nuclear accident of the century. But this plant, the Kashiwazaki Kariwa, may soon restart 2 of its reactors, with more safety measures to protect against natural disasters.
この右手前に使用済み燃料プールがありますけれども、こちらも常に水が満水になっていることが重要でして、建物の外から直接プールの中に水を入れられるラインを新設をしました。消防車を使って水を入れますけれども、事故時もですね、常に使用済み燃料の冷却が達成できるようにしています。
The plant, located on Japan's west coast, also has a new tsunami wall, 15 meters tall. It's installed new backup power supplies and a vent to filter out radioactive particles. Learning from the 2011 disaster, when everything went dark and no one could see, glow-in-the-dark stickers have been added to parts of the facility.
あのような事故があったとしても、さまざまな安全強化を図った部分、さらに発電所構内に配備しているモバイル設備を使って、プラントへの電気の供給、さらには水の供給等ができるようになっていて、あのような事故はほとんど回避できると考えています。
Japan has already reopened at least 12 other nuclear plants across the country since 2011, trying to ramp its nuclear energy back up to reach its climate goals. Before the Fukushima disaster, around a third of Japan's electricity came from nuclear power. And when it closed its plants, it had to step up imports of other energy sources like coal, which produce greenhouse gases and pollutants when burned. But the local government still needs to approve Kashiwazaki Kariwa's reopening.
やはりその地元の理解が必要でして、いつ原子炉を起動するのか、その再稼働することについての地元の理解というものがある程度得られた状態になって、私どもは手続きをしたいと考えている。
While a reopening date has yet to be set, the plant is working to up its safety measures until it gets a green light. James Lin and Cadence Quaranta for TaiwanPlus.
The Malaysian state of Penang is gearing up to climb the semiconductor industry supply chain. The country has become a strategic destination for tech investment as companies shift south. Tiffany Wong reports.
Okay, so this is the testing table.
Customizing industrial computers for buyers in the ASEAN region. These engineers at Taiwanese computer maker Advantech are showing off their latest orders, now produced in the company's newest service center in Penang, Malaysia. It's followed its customers there, many of whom now prefer to do business in the region so as not to be overly reliant on China, where the risks of trade barriers or supply chain disruptions are greater and labor costs are rising. Among Southeast Asian nations, Malaysia has emerged as an attractive option for Advantech.
It's also considered about the advantage in Malaysia, like for example, multiple ratio, like the good education, good talent, good English capability, and so on. So consider all the factors, so we invest in the Penang to build up, become the shared service center cover in the all ASEAN region.
And many multinational companies agree. In 2023, Penang attracted a record $12.8 billion in foreign direct investment, garnering more than the combined total of the previous decade.
This is Bayan Lepas Science Park, the first free trade zone in Malaysia. It opened in the 1970s and has since become home to big names like Intel, AMD, and HP, companies which have helped Penang become known as the Silicon Valley of the East. Now, some of these long-term investors like Intel, which has been here over 50 years, are still continuing to develop in this area.
Since then, Penang has become a leader in the lower end of the value chain for tech like semiconductors, and its established government incentives and infrastructure have made it a top destination for investors.
The infrastructure in Penang has evolved dramatically. Even right now, the government has been putting in a lot of effort to improve the infrastructure in Penang, including the upcoming rail links to Penang and the investment in electricity infrastructure.
In May, the government launched its national semiconductor strategy, aiming to move up the value chain and strengthen talent retention. But analysts warn this could take years. For now, the state's investment agency is diversifying beyond semiconductors to boost production and balance the economy.
We brought in the MagTech industries, we brought in the food industries, because these industries are not so cyclical, and we hope that while the semiconductor cycles happen to be low, these other industries will be able to buffer that shocks.
As Penang looks to benefit from shifting trends in chipmaking, it's attracting growing interest from Taiwanese companies like Advantech. And with this momentum, Penang hopes to solidify its place as the resilient Silicon Valley of the East and reshape the global semiconductor supply chain. Patrick Chen and Tiffany Wong in Penang, Malaysia for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwanese screw manufacturers are struggling to survive. Cheap foreign competition and factors like war have caused demand to crater. John Van Trieste has this story.
When this factory stops production at the end of the year, it will join a dozen neighbors in the southern city of Kaohsiung that have already gone under. Taiwan's days as a hardware empire, a kingdom of screws as some people once called it, are long over. This factory was already on life support, with just one machine running for a single day each month as losses mount. From 2022 to 2023, screw exports dropped over 20%, and that trend looks set to continue. Cheap, large-scale competition from China and Vietnam had already put huge pressure on these factories, and a slowdown in car production due to wars overseas was an additional blow.
乌俄战争开始造成那个汽车螺丝业慢慢的萎缩，因为那时候也刚好碰到那个缺晶片。
Global economic trends have added to the pain.
欧洲可以说是消失了，前1-2年的确他们通膨很严重。
None of these factors alone has been a death blow. Despite low demand, Taiwan still produced over 1 million tons of screws last year. But the end may be looming. Automakers are key customers, and they're changing the way they make cars.
就像现在的汽车一样电动车没有什么公司可以选都是用扣件这样。
There is a sliver of hope. So-called non-standard screws made to order are a rare bright spot. But factories are still shutting down. To stay afloat, economists suggest investing in digital and green technologies. But that takes money screw makers don't have. Their fight to save made in Taiwan is going to be a tough one. Kama Xu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's life expectancy is on the rise, with people living to an average of just over 80 years in 2023. A government report shows that cancer remains the leading cause of death in the country, so excluding cancer, average lifespans would increase by almost 3.5 years. Without deaths from heart disease, the average would go up by almost 1.5, and without pneumonia by almost 1 full year. Doctors say it's the first time that average life expectancy has gone up since the COVID pandemic.
新冠的疫情那段时间死掉太多人，把平均寿命整个拉下来。新冠肺炎期间各国都一样的，不是只有台湾的。刚开始的死亡率是4%到6%，但是后来才变得轻微。
COVID was still the 6th leading cause of death in Taiwan last year. The once thriving waters off Taiwan's Penghu Islands are growing barren due to the effects of undersea excavation projects. But a community effort to attract marine life back into the shallows is taking root. Reese Ayers reports.
As the waters off Taiwan's outlying Penghu Islands recede with the tide, a team of volunteers ventures out into the exposed sea mud. Wielding handfuls of seagrass shoots, they're ready to restore life to these dying shallows.
这样就是一株的一个海草。那我们等一下种的时候啊，就是这样子一株一株的这样子把它插下去。
Gungzi village was once a hotspot for seagrass, an often overlooked component of marine ecosystems that offers food and shelter to a wide range of sea life. But long-term excavation projects in the channels around Penghu have buried much of the seagrass under displaced sand.
水的深度跟以前比起来，差不多被埋了到2公尺以上。 所以里面的生物啦，包括海草啦什么的，都埋掉了，那没办法生长。
Enlisting the help of the local community, the Penghu Marine Biology Centre has made it their goal to restore these intertidal zones to their former glory. Several parts of the Penghu Island chain were designated seagrass protection zones back in 2022. But farming seagrass is no easy task.
航道那个你因为水流的关系，每天那个沙滩会跑来跑去，你海草就没办法附着在上面。
Certain shellfish harvesting tools have been prohibited to help protect the budding seagrass shoots, which, if allowed to thrive, would bring more than plant life back to these waters.
在这样的环境去种海草的话，它可以提供很多的一些幼苗，能够在这边栖息，然后这边成长觅食，那最后就会变成是我们渔民朋友的他们的一个渔获。
With the combined efforts of marine scientists and local volunteers, there's hope yet that these once thriving waters can again sustain an abundance of life. Fu Huaheng and Reese Ayers for TaiwanPlus.
Scientists in Colombia have developed a nutritional booster for bees, which may protect these pollinators from pesticides. Tiffany Wong is back with this story.
Getting in their vitamins. These bees at a lab in Colombia are taking supplements that the researchers say boost their resistance to pesticides. Scientists sedate the bees, then place them in tubes to feed them the supplement. They then expose the insects to pesticides.
Una vez las exponemos a los pesticidas, en los niveles realistas, es decir, en los niveles que efectivamente se encuentran residuales en el campo, las abejas están protegidas. ¿En qué se traduce esto? En abejas que todavía aprenden bien, en abejas que se mueven bien, en abejas que toman buenas decisiones.
Scientists say the plant-based formula helps protect bees' brains from neurological damage from pesticides sprayed on crops. Bees are an important part of the ecosystem as they pollinate both wild plants and human food crops. But chemicals meant to protect crops from harmful pests could actually hurt the bees that support their growth.
Ya sabemos que hay moléculas que mejoran la salud de las abejas, ya sabemos que hay moléculas que previenen el daño neuronal causado por los pesticidas y otro montón de efectos que aún faltan por estudiar. Y tenemos la opción de seguir indagando cómo funcionan estos métodos que ya están funcionando para poder optimizarlos y para poder ya empezar a ver una mejoría.
The first tests proved effective enough that the team is now trying out the supplement in real-world situations at an apiary on campus to keep the world's busy bees buzzing. Patrick Chen and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
Thanks again for joining us here on What's Up Taiwan. If you want to get more of our news reports on the go, download the TaiwanPlus app and turn on notifications. Finally, we leave you with images from Taiwan Fashion Week, which is wrapping up tonight and tomorrow. I'm Eric Gao. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.